Yo, what's up guys? It's NLW here with the first episode of my brand new podcast. I appreciate you guys taking the time to kind of check this out. I put a poll up on Instagram recently asking if you wanted me to do it, and a lot of you said you would be interested in me doing some sort of podcast, so that is why I'm doing one right now. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about in this kind of podcast, like NLW updates, wrestling figure news, as well as just wrestling news in general. And you can give me feedback on this and sort of guide me in the right direction as to what you want me to talk about in the future. But I think we'll just start off with like NLW updates really, because that's what I know a lot of you are going to be interested in. So I can tell you that work on NLW 101 is underway. I've just finished setting up the arena, which is quite tricky because I've got this big crowd set up, like the blue one, to put on the backdrop and then to put all the little bits and pieces together. It's a little bit tricky, but it's the thing that I need to get done in order to get underway and get momentum going for making NLW 101. My plan at the moment is to release it, I think, on the 12th of February in about 2 weeks' time, depending on whether or not I can get all the matches done. I am trying to make these little bits of video in the meantime, such as the metal match between Jon Moxley and Edge, as well as a couple of other like skits and stuff, just to kind of hype you up for the impending return of NLW. And next week, I want to get out an episode of Turbo as well, which will have a couple of cool matches on it, and obviously stay up to date on Instagram for all of the latest updates and news on that. Also, I'm working on just getting prepared to make NLW 24/7 again. So in the time off in January, I've been making a couple of videos for that, like a couple of shows that are at the moment exclusive to Patreon. So if you do want to sign up to Patreon for just $1, you can get access to the brand new NLW 24/7 show early. And I think that'll be up on YouTube. The return of NLW 24/7 will be, I think, the Wednesday, the 16th of February, I'm thinking at the moment. As for like Raw and SmackDown rebooked, I don't really have any plans to continue that on the main channel for now. I might put it on the second channel and continue it on until WrestleMania, just so it's not as much pressure really to get it out on time, because I was kind of stressing myself out of all these different series. If I just focus on the main channel videos with the NLW and Metal stuff, as well as NLW 24/7, then maybe here and there I'll upload a Raw and SmackDown rebooked, because I do enjoy making them. It's just, it does cut into my time a little bit. So that's really what's going on with NLW at the moment. I'm just trying to prepare for the return and film a couple of couple of episodes in advance so that I can release them over the next couple of weeks. And this Saturday, I think I'm going to release a little special video, which you might find quite interesting, quite entertaining. So I hope you do enjoy it. Other than that, that's really it for NLW updates. Anything you do want to know as well, you can just let me know in the comments below and on Instagram what you want me to talk about in this podcast, because again, it is kind of a pilot episode, an experimental thing to see how things go from here. Like, you can probably put this on in the background when you're filming a pick fed, or if you're just, just kind of trying to kill some time. So that's what I'm really trying to do. And apologies if I stutter or I kind of go and ah a lot in this podcast. I'm just trying to really get used to it. So at the moment, it's something that I've wanted to do, and I'll just talk about the podcast as well, the podcast idea. Again, like I was thinking earlier, like you've got the likes of Talking Feds, which ran for quite a bit, and I thought that was quite useful for people to kind of get in depth into how kind of pick fedders work and YouTubers kind of think about figure videos and stuff like that. And just in general, like wrestling podcasts, I've been listening to a lot of Deadlock recently, as well as the Attitude Era podcast. And it's kind of inspired me to give my thoughts on wrestling, give my thoughts on figure news and things of that nature, as well as have a way to deliver NLW updates in kind of a long form weekly format, I guess you could say. This is, again, like it's a pilot episode, so I will tweak things. At the moment, I'm planning on doing it weekly, but that might be every 2 weeks instead, depending on how well this does and how many of you actually enjoy it. And it's also good for me to kind of speak on a Monday. I'll probably release this on the Tuesday though. Just good for me to speak on a Monday because I do work on Sunday evenings, so I'm quite tired on the Monday, so it gives me a chance to kind of just talk for a bit and kind of, not low effort, but really just kind of sit and chat rather than have the effort of setting up and filming, because there's different times of the day as well, something I'll talk about at length, I guess, would be the motivation. My motivation is a lot more through the roof than it was before Christmas when my hard drive was broken. Luckily, as many of you know, my hard drive is back. It's got all my files on it. So I'm going to make a very conscious effort not to make the same mistake again of not backing up more recent files. So I've got my templates on hand in case this ever does happen again. £350 though, my God, like such an expense. Although having it back, it is worth it. But it's something that could have been avoided easily, and that's £350 down the drain. But at least I've got all my stuff back, and I'm very thankful for you guys' support as I'm trying to kind of navigate the whole situation going on. But yeah, now it's back. I've got all my templates. I'm making new match graphics. I'm making new thumbnails and stuff for future video ideas, and I'm getting started on NLW 101 today. I want to try and film Rey Mysterio versus Shingo Takagi, as well as a couple of segments with the Ministry, and maybe start on a couple of other matches and entrances for NLW 101. So again, hoping to get it out in 2 weeks. It may be free, I'm not too sure at the moment. But I'm also going to be editing a new episode of NLW Turbo, which I'll give you one of the matches that's on it. It's Ricochet versus Shane Strickland. So I had a bit of fun with that one. And of course, you've got the NLW 6, so the No Limit 6. That's Kushida, MJF, Lance Archer, Jurassic Express, and Leo Rush. They're the 6 new signings to NLW, so I'm looking forward to thinking of ways to incorporate them into storylines as we head in to WrestleMania. And speaking of WrestleMania 5, I think I've solidified a card now. So I've got, at the moment, 10 matches in mind, as well as 3 on like a special pre-show that I'm planning. So that is pretty much set in stone, which means I can write more storylines as we head into that event. I don't know when WrestleMania will be out. I predict at the moment in the summertime, because I've got some stuff that I want to get out in the meantime beforehand for Metal and that pay-per-view too, Revival coming up, and that's got a card that's set in stone too. So yeah, I've got a lot to film. It is kind of overwhelming in a way, but also quite exciting, and it does motivate me if I've got, you know, a clear plan of what I want to film, when I want to film it. But at the moment, I'm not sticking to a specific schedule, so I'm not burnt out. I'm just trying to see how it goes, and also try at the same time to juggle that with NLW Figs videos and the kind of behind the scenes stuff and the Patreon, you know. So I don't want to get burnt out again like I did kind of last year, towards the end of last year, with all that happened with my hard drive. I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I could potentially have run myself into the ground if I'd tried too hard to get too many videos out in December. But I think a nice break was what I needed, and now I'm back. I'm going to hit the ground running, hopefully today and tomorrow, film some NLW 101 and also film parts of this podcast. And at the moment, we're just off the heels of the Royal Rumble. So I've kind of talked about the NLW updates. I'll kind of move into figure news later on down the line, what figures I'm looking forward to kind of buying and looking at. But for now, we'll kind of talk about wrestling news. So recently we just had the Royal Rumble. I didn't watch it, funny enough. And also, this is something I want to address. Like, when I do all the prediction videos, very rarely do I watch the pay-per-views. It's because I approach the prediction videos as more of a fantasy booking aspect. Like, I'll read the results and stuff like that, but very rarely will I take the time to kind of sit down and watch the WWE shows. But I still enjoy making the prediction videos because I like to fantasy book what I would like to see from the Fed as they go into WrestleMania and stuff like that in different pay-per-views. So, didn't watch the Rumble. And in hindsight, kind of glad I didn't, because it was fairly predictable who was going to win the Royal Rumbles. You know, you had Ronda Rousey, and there was a lot of stuff. I saw the highlights in kind of the Women's Rumble, a lot of people being brought back and then being thrown out too quickly, and just stuff of that nature. And then the Men's Rumble seemed a bit cursed. Like, I didn't feel like one of the worst ones. I've definitely watched worse Royal Rumbles than this one, but it didn't really, looking at the entrance and the kind of the match listing, didn't really do enough to excite me. And if I was rebooking it personally, I'd probably have, I don't know, I'd have Drew McIntyre win personally, because him coming back, I think that would be a big shock. I don't know if you could have Brock in there, you know, as a surprise anyway, but I think it would have been a much more satisfying conclusion, I think, to have Drew McIntyre win. I did see a clip of the fans actually turning on Brock when he eliminated Randy Orton. Of course, it was Orton's hometown. I would have even maybe had Riddle go and win it personally. So there's a bunch of stuff that I think could have been done differently in that matchup, as well as like in the earlier matches. A lot of what's let down in the product at the moment is the wrestling's great for a lot of times, but just the execution and like the booking is just so subpar at the moment that it's really difficult to get into. And I'm not going to even talk about NXT 2.0 because it'll just make me sad about missing the old NXT. And AEW's been in quite a holding pattern as well recently. Like, it's not really a lot that's blowing me out of the water, really. The match at the start of the year with Hangman and Danielson, that was incredible. And likewise, a match on Dynamite this past week, which I'll get to, just absolute one of the best ladder matches I've ever seen. So, yeah, like, wrestling at the moment seems a bit, not dead, but just seems to be in kind of a holding pattern. I'm sure things will pick up as AEW progresses to their Revolution pay-per-view, and I'm sure that WrestleMania will hopefully get the wheels turning for WWE, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And as I talk about wrestling as well, I do want to touch on the Wrld on GCW, which happened last week. I bought their show at the Hammerstein Ballroom, so that was the first GCW, well, apart from the spring break shows, that was the first GCW show I'd bought on pay-per-view. And it was kind of in the middle of the road. It wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst show I've ever seen. I'm very happy with buying it. It was entertaining, I will say that. I was entertained throughout. No parts of it really bored me at all, and there was some really cool stuff on it, like the Lucha 6-man tag, as well as Mox Homicide was pretty good. I did like the atmosphere when Nick Gage made his return to GCW at the end in the main event. It had a lot of ECW feel to it, especially with like the short main event and kind of going off the air in quite quick fashion. I don't believe that a main event should be 15 to 20 minutes all the time. So, and I know they were kind of restricted with the time they had. And I will say as well, like the opening scramble match on the pre-show, very, very cool. Like Dante Leone, Grim Reaper, Shane Mercer as well, really kind of performed really well on that show. And I also quite liked Leo Rush versus Blake Christian. Stuff I didn't really like about the show. Cardona versus Janela, I think it was quite overbooked. Effie versus Jarrett, it was a bit weird to have Jarrett win against Effie, considering he's like, supposed to be this homegrown star. The main event going a bit short, and the ladder match at the start, quite botchy for what it was. So, yeah, there's stuff that can be improved, and I did hear people online like GCW Diehard saying it wasn't their best show, probably one of their worst, but I would disagree with that. I thought it was fine, I'm happy with buying it, and I would recommend watching it just for the spectacle alone, because there were some questionable decisions on that show, and there were some production issues which kind of took you out of it, but I wasn't expecting much, and I would say it did exceed my expectations. I was pleasantly surprised, and I would buy another GCW show again, especially now they've got the former Grand Metalik in there now, wrestling. So, yeah, as we move in and they present their spring break shows from WrestleMania weekend, I'm interested to see what GCW does from here on in, especially now Mox is still the champion and Gage and Tremont are the tag champs. Yeah, like the Forbidden Door is open, it seems. So, yeah, good things all around, really. And so that's really all to go on with wrestling news. If I was going to go on to another segment now, I guess I'll do the figure news. And you can tell this is kind of hastily put together because I'm just trying to see what works and what doesn't with this podcast format. So, yeah, we'll move on to figure news. And recently, Ringside dropped, and the Mattel actually dropped pictures and exclusive images of Elite 93. And this whole set looks incredible. Like, I want to buy it immediately, but I'm trying to budget at the moment, so I don't think I'll be pre-ordering it, but I will definitely be picking up the whole set once it's available in the UK. I'm liking that Ricky Steamboat chase as well. Like, that's one I want to pick up, especially now that I've brought him in to Metal Wrestling as a trainer. I think that'd be cool to have in the collection. The Seth Rollins is a must-get for me with that rubber jacket. I've seen Battle Stories do a little animation with it, and it looks pretty cool. Hopefully they do more cloth jackets going forward. That Cesaro as well is a must-get for me for a number of reasons, which I'll be able to reveal in due time because I don't want to reveal too much as to my NLW plans, but let's just say Cesaro may play a factor, and that figure would be good to use. The Karrion Kross, not really doing it for me. I'll still probably get it because of the double-jointed arms, and just kind of as a footnote, really, for Karrion Kross, but the same head scan we've seen before, not really. The Raquel Gonzalez, though, looks pretty good for a women's figure as well, so I'm sold on that one. What other ones are there? You got Dijakovic as T-Bar, that would be a good get, as well as, what are the other figures in that line? I'm trying to think, there's one more. I can get it up on my on my ringside feed here. So we have, so we've got Gonzalez, we've got Karrion Kross, T-Bar, and who am I missing? Am I missing Ricky Steamboat? Is that it? Yeah, it looks like it. So, that's it for Elite 93. A very solid set, one that I definitely want to pre-order, and I also want to pre-order a couple of these basics, like the Miz in the suit. That Dominic looks pretty cool, and Noam Dar as well. Want more NXT UK people to get figures made of them. And that Alexa Bliss as well is pretty cool. I know it's already sold out on ringside, but, regardless of what you think of the gimmick, it's still cool to have like an Elite or an Ultimate Edition of that attire. So, that's the figure news. I've also seen Chella Toys drop a Sabu, which looks quite enticing, I will say. And as for what figures I've got on the way, I've got the Camo Adam Cole coming soon, as well as the Rey Mysterio. So I'm waiting to film Rey Mysterio and Shingo before I've got that Elite 92 in with me. What else? What other figures did I order? I ordered an Ultimate Edition Stone Cold as well, because I thought that would be nice to add to the collection. As for other pre-orders I've got coming on the way, I've pre-ordered the Barbed Wire accessory pack with Omega and Moxley. It sold me on the photography alone, so I think it was MBG who did the photography for that one. If not, correct me, but yeah, like that photography, so good, like sold me on the figures and sold me on buying them. As for other figures that I've recently purchased, I've recently bought a Randy Savage, the Legends figure with the, from the 80s, and the John Cena Firefly Funhouse Legends figure too, so that'll be on the way as well. I've also pre-ordered the Rey Mysterio Top Picks. I want to really build up my Rey Mysterio collection because I've seen CMW Toys on Instagram. They've got a very hefty collection of Rey Mysterios, and I want something like that because I do dig all the attires that he's got out. So I pre-ordered that, and the AEW stage. Wrestleistic? Yeah, Wrestleistic has a pretty good pop-up stage for a printout for AEW stage, so I definitely recommend going and checking them out at Wrestleistic.com, and you can use the code Wrestleistic and get 10% off your order. But yeah, like it's still cool to see the AEW stage actually released officially. It just does seem like the actual Titantron bit, the actual screen, video screen, is a bit short, a bit small. But there's always ways you can kind of get around that and customize it to make it a little bit better. So that seems to be all the figure news really, and also recently as well they've dropped the pre-order for the Elite, what was it? The Unmatched Series 3, I should say, sorry, of the Dark Order. So I've pre-ordered that because that's one that I definitely want to add to NLW at some point. I kind of want to bring Brody back. It does make me a bit sad still to use footage of him and stuff, but I think enough time's passed that maybe I might add him back. I'm not too sure at the moment. It really depends on, how you guys, the fans, feel, really. So, yeah, that's it. And we'll move on to Match and Wrestler of the Week. So this is a segment I want to do moving forward on this podcast where I kind of tell you who my favourite Wrestler of the Week is and what my favourite match of the week is. So we'll start off with Match of the Week, and by far, it's that ladder match from Dynamite. If you've not seen it yet, go and check it out. Probably one of the best matches, best ladder matches I've ever seen personally. It was paced extremely, extremely well. Like, you've got the wrestling at the start. Cody's not even using the ladder. He's throwing it out. Kind of heel tendencies at the moment. And because he's a free agent, I don't know where this leads, because if he's losing the TNT title, maybe he'll do kind of a heelish thing where he goes after Hangman for the AEW title, even though he said he's not going to challenge for that title. That would be definitely an interesting angle and a route to go down. But yeah, 3 big spots in this matchup. The cutter from the top rope as Cody got hit by Sammy, who executed it perfectly. Like, the balance to do that move is just, like, insane. And another big spot was there was another big spot, I think, where I can't remember the other big spot that there was, but there was a crossroads off the ladder and both men were hanging from the ladder rungs. If I can think of it, I'll say it. And obviously the big spot at the end was Sammy's just ridiculous dive, ridiculous swanton from the top of a ladder to another ladder, which didn't break, and you could just see Sammy's spine bend like an unrivaled figure when he hit Cody. Just like insane impact. The fact that he was able to get up after that is just incredible. And then Sammy Guevara actually wins and becomes the interim TNT champion. So official TNT champion, I should say. So absolutely incredible match. Go out your way to watch it. Just fantastic. And For my wrestler of the week, I'm probably going to pick Seth Rollins because I saw the highlights of his match with Roman Reigns as well as the promo he cut on Reigns on SmackDown this past Friday. So Seth Rollins, someone who's completely overhauled their look, and they've definitely managed to continue to evolve and change up their character. And this new character that he's got going with the Drip King, the kind of wacky out there jackets, he's kind of like a Batman villain, and I love it, honestly. He's a Batman villain, but he's also a tweener, so I don't want him to go fully face because I think he could lose that edge that's made him so popular at the moment. But I think to change it up, depending on who he's facing, would be very good. Coming out in the Shield garb, just trolling Roman and really kind of laughing at Roman as well in the Royal Rumble match, which I saw highlights of. And his promos as well have been excellent recently. I thought the Messiah stuff was great. And now to kind of move on and do this kind of wacky out there character where he seems to be one of the highlights of the show at the moment. So it is one that I'm wanting to watch more of. If I can catch any WWE highlights, it will be of Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens for that matter. So yeah, I don't know. I would like to see him in the triple threat with Brock and Roman, but I feel like, I don't know, is a triple threat too much of a crutch? Too much of a crutch for WWE to book world title matches? Maybe, but it would make it a bit more unpredictable, and kind of to have a throwback to their WrestleMania 31 triple threat would be an interesting angle. So definitely looking forward to seeing what Seth Rollins does next, and that's he's my wrestler of the week. And on this podcast as well, I want to do kind of like a question of the week. So one where I get like the fans to ask me questions, and I'll pick one out at random to kind of ask me one question at the end of the video, where I can kind of go off and sort of, I don't know, maybe try and hold on, I've just got a message. Maybe I've got a question here, I don't know. No questions at the moment, but if I can maybe give a question as to what kind of things I'm looking for. So this could be questions about wrestling, it could be about figures, it could be about anything really. But I'll answer my own question really at the moment. I'll say, what was my favourite figure that I picked up in 2021? And that would probably have to be, there's a multitude of them. But I would definitely say like the Jeff Hardy Ultimate Edition is up there as to one of my favourite figures that I picked up in 2021. And that's one that comes off the top of my head. Of course, I did my top 10 figures of 2021 video at the tail end of last year. But yeah, as I've tried to fed more with the Jeff Hardy Ultimate Edition, I do want to use it going forward in NLW a lot more. So that is definitely one where I can say probably, it's in my top 10 and maybe is my favourite figure of the year. And again, like, get your questions in. You can follow me on Instagram and ask questions there through my DMs. You can ask questions in the comments of this podcast as well. But for the moment, I think that's really it. I'm just sort of testing the waters at the moment of this format and how this sort of, podcast does, whether it does well, whether you guys enjoy it. Obviously, it's going to become more polished as we move forward, as I go out through the weeks. I don't know whether I'll do it every week, but maybe I'll do it every 2 weeks. We'll see, honestly, how well it does, and if you want to see it every week. But for the moment, I think I just want to get this out there, see how it does, and listen to your feedback. So do leave your feedback in the comments below as to what you thought of this first episode, and if it was engaging throughout. Like I said, there's stuff I can cut from the podcast and different segments and stuff. What do you think of the segments, and is there a segment that you think I can add to improve it? Let me know in the comments below. As for what videos are coming out this week, I think that would be a good idea to kind of end it on. The videos coming out this week, I've got something coming out on Wednesday featuring the aftermath of Stone Cold being attacked by the Undisputed Era at the end of Edge versus Moxley. So there'll be something and a big announcement on Wednesday, which you won't want to miss. This Saturday, I've got a video coming out with Conor McGregor on Eric Bischoff's podcast. So yeah, I've just bought an Eric Bischoff figure, so I'm going to do kind of an angle where it progresses the Conor McGregor CM Punk stuff, and that'll be out this Saturday. As for what's coming out on the NLW Figs channel this week, I want to get out a best of January action figure setup, as well as a closer look at the Metal Arena as to how I, set that whole thing up. So those are the videos coming this week. As I said, I'm planning on, at the moment, releasing NLW 101. If not on the 12th of February, then hopefully the week after. But I'm just trying to start filming that as soon as possible. And as for Metal Wrestling, that's something that's going to be coming soon. But I'm just trying to get some little bits and pieces of storyline done for now. And NLW Turbo as well will return next week. But yeah, NLW 24/7 too, that will be coming out. Wait, if I can think, the 16th of February is my plan at the moment to get that back up and running. As for Raw and SmackDown Rebooked, I'm just waiting for a time to release that. And if I do release it again, it will most likely be on this second channel. So do subscribe to keep up with all the updates and all that stuff. Links to my Instagram, all that good stuff in the description. Thank you for listening to the first of what I hope will be many No Limits Wrestling podcasts. That's it from me. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you guys later.